Hello, everybody. My name is Isaac. I'm at the West End Cultural Center doing the Tune In program's very second drum lesson. So in the last lesson, what we learned was what the names of each piece of the equipment was and where to move them around to set up your drum kit. We also learned more on how to hold sticks, how to play your pedals, and how to keep your posture. So now that we've learned all this, we're ready to actually start playing the drums a little bit. But the first thing I'm going to teach you is how 4/4 time signature works. That is the time signature that we're going to start playing in. There are two fours, if you heard it, 4/4. The first four is how many beats are played in a single measure. The second four is how fast those beats are. So we have 4 beats played in the measure based on the first 4. The second 4 makes them quarter notes, right? So 4 quarter notes makes 1 measure. Makes sense, you know? 4 times 0.25 equals 1. That is confusing, though, for a lot of kids. You don't have to know time signature. We're not going to bring up any sheet music or anything. So for those of you who don't understand, all you have to really do is know how to say 1, 2, 3, 4. If you can count to 4, you've done it. You're ready for this lesson. It's perfect. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the 4 beats in the measure. The end of the measure doesn't necessarily mean the end of the song, of course. You can go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That is 2 measures. They can continue just after the 4th beat. You restart back at 1 for the very next measure. So what we're going to do is start creating the basics of a simple drum beat. So for 8 bars, I'm going to ask whoever's at home to play along with me. We're going to play the kick drum on every 1st and 3rd beat. So we're going to count out loud 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to do it 8 times, kick drum on every 1st and 3rd beat. Okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's not terrible. You might have some slip-ups. That's okay. Just keep practicing it. Practice it over again if you're having trouble. The second thing that we are going to do is we are going to do a very similar thing. We're going to play only the snare drum, though. It's going to go for 8 bars, but instead of playing on the 1st and the 3rd beat, we're going to play this snare drum on the 2nd and the 4th beat. Okay? So everyone play with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so many of you will have noticed that I play this with my left hand. I'm playing a right-handed drum kit, but I will always play that snare drum part with my left hand. That is what I'm going to ask for all of you to do as well. It is very important, and I will explain why as we get further into this lesson. If you're playing on a right-handed drum kit, the snare drum is played with the left hand. If you are on a left-handed drum kit, the snare drum will be somewhere around there, and you're going to play with your right hand. Okay? So what we're going to do now is we are going to play the same part. We're going to do it twice as long, 16 bars this time, because you really got to get in that practice, okay? But we're going to play the kick part on beats 1 and 3, and we're going to play the snare part at the same time on beats 2 and 4. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we're gonna do it twice a time, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sweet. So that is not an easy thing to do, and I understand that. If you need to practice doing that, I would suggest go back to just the 1 and the 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. And go back to just the 2 and the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep practicing your kick drum part, keep practicing your snare part, and eventually you'll get it better together. So once you've gotten to that point where you can play 1, 2, 3, 4, you're just sitting there like, that's nothing, I can do that easily, no problem. We're gonna start adding in the hi-hats. Now here's the reason why we play the snare drum with the left hand. You keep the rhythm with the hi-hat. You are gonna play this beat on every beat that you play the snare drum and the kick drum. So you play this twice as often as both these other drums. We're gonna do it like that. That is the reason you keep your right hand or your left hand, if you have a left-handed drum kit, ready for the hi-hats. You want your dominant hand to keep the rhythm. It does the most work, it plays most often, it's gonna get the most tired. Let it be your dominant hand. So we're gonna do this one more time. Ready? 16 bars, but we're gonna add in the hi-hat on every beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. We're gonna go again, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and again, that part is not easy. So this part is not going to be any easier. It is also the very first time you're playing two parts of the drum kit at once, which is also hard. So as a suggestion, in my opinion, a very good way to get used to playing all these parts in the same drum beat is to separate them, you know? So let's practice. Let's keep that drum beat. We're going to play it for 4 bars, 4 measures. But after those 4 measures, we're going to then switch to just playing the kick drum and the hi-hat parts for another 4 measures. Once that is done, we're going to switch to just the hi-hat and the snare drum parts for another 4 measures. And then we're going to repeat that all. It seems like a lot, but you need to practice a lot if you want to get good at this, okay? So, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I would recommend if this at whatever point in of practicing you're at, if this is still difficult, I would keep practicing just the kick drum part, just the snare drum part, and practice that exercise of switching between all of them to just these and then just these. It's very helpful to get to know how the relationship between playing two instrument parts of this kit at the same time without having to think about maybe a third one also on your mind, you know? Because a lot of you will find this difficult and maybe be going like, you know, you're going to be messing up. You're not going to be hitting. You're going to be trying 1 and 2 and, you know, it's difficult. It's a very hard thing to do. So just keep practicing those exercises. And once you get to this point, when you thought it was over, it's not over. We're going to start playing eighth notes on the hi-hat. So what that means is we're going to play twice as fast, right? Eighth notes, half a quarter note, so they last half the same time. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That is how we're going to start playing that. So we're going to keep with this very same kick drum and snare drum part. The only difference is now we have one beat of a half beat, technically, of the hi-hat in between every time without any other part of the kit playing. So we're going to do this for 16 bars, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that is, again, that's quite a big jump. It doesn't seem like a big jump. It's just one extra beat in between, but it is challenging. It is very challenging. So if you're not ready for this and you still need to work on this, make sure that you've gotten this down, because you're not going to get... That's just not going to happen if you cannot play this. So keep practicing just this kick, just the snare, and then do the exercise where you switch all the parts from all three, the hi-hats, snare drum, and kick drum parts, to just the hi-hat and the kick drum, to just the hi-hat and the snare drum. So, but once you've gotten to this point where you can play this, this is what's known very often as the classic or basic rock beat. It is so common. Every song pretty much ever in 4/4, you can play this drum beat, it will sound okay. You probably recognize it, you probably expected it. It is just such an iconic drum beat. It's everywhere. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. It is super, super common, and that is why it is one of the very first drum beats that we will ever teach you, because it is just so important that every other drum beat that you will learn is going to come from almost a variation of having known this drum beat at first. It's drum beat numero uno. So, to practice it though, we should continue the same strategy, right? So it's confusing now you're adding in even more beats. You still might be messing up. You'll be like, oh, no, you know? It's not an easy thing to do. So I recommend continuing to practice. We're going to do that same part for 4 bars, 4 measures. And then we're going to switch to just the kick drum and the hi-hat again, and then just the snare drum and the hi-hat again. 4 measures for each part, and we're going to repeat it once, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and 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 so it's the exact same exercise as we did before. You're just continuing to play 8 notes on the hi-hat instead of quarter notes on the hi-hat. So that's an exercise I very strongly recommend. But once you've got this down, that is your very first basic rock beat. It is just such an important one. It makes up every song in 4/4 ever. And yeah, it is so important that you're going to need to use it when learning other drum beats, which will come eventually. So thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you all in the next video.